Hi, everybody. Welcome to Cognitive Dissonance Part 1. So we're going to talk about cognitive dissonance, but before we do that, we've got to ask a few questions and make sure that we understand some foundational concepts to cognitive dissonance. I just want to say something before we do those questions, though. Cognitive dissonance is probably the most influential theory in all of social psychology. And it starts with some basic concepts about attitudes. But let's ask some questions first. Number one, do you like a Snickers bar? Like the candy bar? Do you like Snickers? Okay. Do you like corn dogs? All right. These questions are important because we need to talk about attitudes. Attitudes are an evaluation of an object. So an attitude is an evaluation of an object. So attitudes can be anything from liking something to loving something, but it can also be disliking something to hating something. The object is any noun at all. So when you tell me about your attitude towards Snickers, for example, you might have a weak positive attitude towards Snickers. An attitude is an evaluation of object. The object is the Snickers. The evaluation is I like it. Now that can be strong or it can be weak. So for example, you say I like Snickers. I got a moderately positive evaluation of the object that is Snickers. Whereas you can also love something. So the object can be any noun, right? So any person, place, or thing, even a concept, it can be anything. So for example, my wife, right? So that's me and my wife right there. Anyway, I love my wife. So I have a strong positive attitude, strong positive evaluation of the object, my wife. Okay, and then somewhere in the middle there is corn dogs, right? I do like corn dogs quite a bit. Now, attitudes do not have to be positive, though. Attitudes can be negative, meaning you can have a negative attitude. You can dislike things, and it can be weak or can be strong. But the important thing is an attitude is an evaluation of an object. You don't just have a good attitude. You don't say, "Oh, I'm an optimistic person, therefore that's my attitude." No, that's not how we use it in psychology. It is an evaluation of an object. So an attitude is an evaluation of an object. You cannot just have a good attitude or a bad attitude. You've got to be evaluating something. It's got to be positive, it's got to be negative, it's got to be strong or it's got to be weak, but it must be one object to it. Okay, attitudes are evaluations of objects. Great, got it. Now, we need to talk about balance theory. Balance theory is a next step idea. Not only do we have attitudes about things, but we want these attitudes to be balanced with each other. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look at an example. When we talk about balance theory, we draw triangles. That is what we do when we talk about balance theory. And each point of the triangle is a different object, okay? A different noun. So the easiest way to think about this is by putting yourself on one of the corners. So that's you. Now let's say that you, and the side, by the way, the side of the triangle is going to be your attitude toward the other object. So for example, you like, that's Paul McCartney from the Beatles, right? So let's say that Paul McCartney is the object, you like Paul McCartney. That's your attitude, okay? You like Paul McCartney. Make sense? Okay, now, we're going to go to the next step, and we're going to put something on the other corner. The thing on the other corner is going to be the Boston Red Sox. So let's think about this. Paul McCartney has an attitude towards the Boston Red Sox. This is just hypothetical right now, right? Now, the balance happens when we're talking about the balance between how much your attitude toward Paul McCartney, his attitude towards the Red Sox, and then your attitude towards the Red Sox. So right here, if you like Paul McCartney likes the Red Sox, and you like the Red Sox, is that balanced or imbalanced? Well, that's balanced, right? Everybody likes what everything else has. Everybody else has, right? So you like Paul McCartney likes the Red Sox, you like the Red Sox, everything is great. Now, let's change it. Same basic idea, but now instead of the Red Sox, let's have it be the Yankees, the New York Yankees. Now, if you know anything about baseball, you know that the Red Sox and the Yankees hate each other. So if you like the Red Sox, you basically have to hate the Yankees. It's just kind of like the rule, right? So let's say that you are a Red Sox fan. You like the Red Sox. That means you hate the Yankees. So if you like Paul McCartney likes the Yankees, and you hate the Yankees. Whew, can you feel the imbalance there? Can you feel the idea of imbalance going on, right? Oh, this wonderful artist likes this evil team that everyone hates, especially me. How can that work? That's not right. Something's wrong. It's imbalanced. You can feel the imbalance, can't you? We like our attitudes to be balanced. Now, balance theory is coming from Fritz Heider. Fritz Heider is the main one who came up with balance theory. We've mentioned him before when we talked about naive scientists. That was also Fritz Heider who did that. But this is the basic idea. Now, instead of actually putting the words like or dislike on the corners or putting anything on the points, we can do this. So this is often how you would see a balance theory. P1, P2, and the object, right? So often you have a person because somebody has to have an evaluation. And P2 would be the second person. So if I'm P1, Paul McCartney's P2, and the object is the Red Sox, right? Then on the sides, we would put pluses. Pluses would mean you like it, right? And minuses would mean you don't like it. So this, for example, would be a diagram of a positive, of a balanced diagram. This is a balanced diagram, okay? Make P1 yourself, make P2, in this case, someone you like, and then make the object something that P2 likes and something that you like. You can realize that that's all balanced. Conversely, same thing, but now we have a negative in there. You see then that this is going to be imbalanced. So here's what you do when you're trying to figure out whether something is balanced or imbalanced on one of these diagrams. Put yourself in one corner, then think of somebody you really like or really hate in another corner, and then think of an object, and then figure out if it's going to be balanced or not. So what do I mean by that? Well, let me give you an example. How would you feel if you and Hitler had the same favorite movie? All right, so let's go ahead and do this. Let's figure out what this is going to be. So let's make a triangle. Let's see if I can make a triangle. Come on, triangle. There it is. All right. So this is me, and this is Hitler. Okay. I don't like Hitler. That's negative, right? I don't like Hitler. Okay. Now let's think of a movie. I don't even know what my favorite movie is going to be. Let's make the movie be Bambi. So let's say that you love Bambi and you hate Hitler. Okay? We love Bambi. Where's the love? Come on. There's a plus. Okay. We love Bambi. We hate Hitler. That's what that says so far. Hey, do we have balance or imbalance yet? Not yet, because we've got to fill in this other side. So let's figure out, let's see. Hey, look, what if we learned that Hitler loves Bambi? That's imbalance. That's imbalance. Can you feel the imbalance, right? Someone you hate loves the thing you love? That's not right. You don't want to be in any club with Hitler at all, right? You don't want to be in the I Love Bambi club with Hitler. You want Hitler out of that club. You would be much more balanced for you if instead Hitler hated Bambi. That would fit much better for you. If Hitler hated Bambi, that would be balanced. Yeah, I hate Hitler. I love Bambi. Hitler hates Bambi. That makes all much sense because, I hate Hitler. Hitler's evil. And I love Bambi. So he must hate it because he's evil. Do you feel the idea of balance here? Now, for this to work, I don't even need to have the corners marked up at all. So I can get rid of me. I can get rid of Hitler. I can get rid of Bambi. I can erase all of those. Whoops. I don't know how I just erased that. There. I can erase those. And I can look at just the diagram of the triangles and figure out if it's balanced or imbalanced. I'm going to erase that. Okay? If you need to figure out if something's balanced or imbalanced, just put yourself on the corner and then someone you love or hate on the other corner and then something that you love or hate on there, right? So this is definitely balanced. All right, well, what about that? Is that going to be balanced or imbalanced? That is going to be imbalanced. Imbalanced. How do I know? Well, think about it. So here's me. Here's Hitler. Okay. And here is mayo, mayonnaise. I hate mayonnaise. I really don't like it. I don't like it. Whoop, go back. Oh no, what's going on? Go back, 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 go back. Come back. There it is. Okay. So I hate Hitler. I hate mayonnaise. And Hitler hates mayonnaise. Oh, that's not good. I don't want to be in the Hitler club, right? I don't want to be any club with Hitler. So the question is, do you feel the imbalance that's going on with that? You feel the imbalance of things that's happening? So the problem is now I've got to do something about my imbalance. I've got to do something. I've got to figure out what's going to happen. And so this is where we start to understand the ideas of cognitive dissonance. So let's start with this question. Have you done anything you knew was wrong? When you did that something, did you feel imbalance? Did you feel that something was clashing with something else? So what we've been talking about with balance is a cognitive imbalance, right? It's the idea that my attitudes, and attitude is a cognition, my evaluation of the objects, those are in conflict. Well, we're going to take that a step forward. So on the left here, you see that's a picture of Kurt Lewin. Kurt Lewin is the one who did field theory. Kurt Lewin had a student, and the guy in the middle, that's Leon Festinger. Leon Festinger is the author of Cognitive Dissonance. He also did social comparison theory. He's a very famous social psychologist. And the last one is Judson Mills. And that's kind of joke because Judson Mills was my advisor, right? So what happened is Kurt Lewin taught Leon Festinger, and Leon Festinger taught Judson Mills, and that's not what Judson Mills looks like. That is a guy named Judson Mills who's an actor, and my advisor hated it because whenever he tried to look up his own name, he'd Google his own name and he'd get this guy instead of himself. Now, all of these men have passed away, so they've all passed away because, you know, this is a while ago when these things happened. But Leon Festinger, that one in the middle, he's the one who came up with cognitive dissonance. And you can kind of see how the idea of the situation is going to be involved with this idea of cognitive dissonance. So remember Kurt Lewin's field theory, and then cognitive dissonance comes next, and we'll talk about Judson Mills in the next video. So cognitive dissonance is based on an idea of a behavior being in conflict with a belief about yourself, right? So the dissonance happens in, hey, here's this thing that I believe about myself, and generally the most dissonant thing is with the behavior that you did. So technically you can be just cognitive, but in reality you really get the dissonance with a behavior. So in this particular example, we've got Dogbert talking to an employee, says, hey, isn't it strange you have this dead-end job when you're twice as smart as your boss? The hours are long, the pay is mediocre, nobody respects your contributions, and yet you freely choose to work here. And then the worker in his brain says, gosh, that's absurd. No, wait, there must be a reason. I must be here because I love the work. And then he loves the job, right? The idea is, here's this belief about myself. I am smart, intelligent, and capable. Here's the behavior. I work at this dead-end job. Those clash with each other. They don't work. They don't work. They clash with each other. They are dissonant with each other. Okay? Dissonance means musically, or with sound, dissonance means two notes that clash in a chord. They don't fit. They're not right. They're and you gotta try and even it out. You gotta make sure that they don't clash anymore. You gotta make it consonant, right? You gotta make it harmonic. So in this case, the behavior is I stick around at this job. The belief is I'm too smart to be at this job. How do I resolve it? Oh, I know. I must really love this job. Okay. Let's watch this video. It will look very familiar because We've seen part of it before. This is going to be Leon Festinger and talking about cognitive dissonance. Now, the first person you see is actually Phil Zimbardo discussing this whole thing. And then you'll see at the end, you'll see Leon Festinger talking. Okay, in that movie, or in general, how do you resolve dissonance? Is it easier to resolve dissonance by changing your attitude, changing your behavior, or is that equal? Well, the answer is humans tend to want to change their attitude about things because the behavior has happened. It's objectively out there. It's done. But the attitude can be modified. So, for example, the idea that you lied, right? That's a behavior. You lied. You did that. But your evaluation of the actual task that you did, right, with the boring thing with the spools, that is an attitude, right? That is a cognition. The behavior happened. You said what you said, but your evaluation of it can be changed in order to resolve dissonance. So let's look at the basic idea of cognitive dissonance. So the first thing that happens is you have imbalance. Now, I don't smoke, right? But this is just an easy example for people to understand. So anyway, I guess I'm defensive about that. I don't know. But here's the idea. So there's the balance. Do you see the balance, the balance diagram going on there? So me, smoking, and health. So if I loved smoking and I loved my health, and then I knew that smoking hates health, that's imbalanced, right? You can feel the imbalance in that diagram, right? I love this smoking thing. I love not dying. Oh, but smoking and not dying don't go together. What am I going to do? So first, you start with this idea of imbalance. That imbalance causes a negative arousal. That you feel, that's the arousal I'm talking about. Arousal doesn't have to be sexual arousal. It can just be your body just having some energy, having more movement. That's the arousal. Well, cognitive dissonance says, you could just change the diagram, right? So you could make it so that you hate smoking, right? If you hate smoking, then that would be balanced. But there's other ways that you can resolve the dissonance. And in cognitive dissonance, it's all about resolving the dissonance. So one way is to quit smoking, right? That'd be easy. But there's other ways that you can at least temper the dissonance. You can try and take it out a little bit at a time. So for example, you can say, okay, well, no, yeah, you're right. Smoking's bad for you, and I love my health, and I love smoking, but that means I'm just gonna do more running. I'm gonna be more healthy, right? So yeah, I take out some of my health if I smoke, but I'm just gonna run a few more miles, and that'll take care of it. That's to resolve the dissonance that happens. Or you can say, yeah, I smoke, that's true. And yeah, I don't want to die, but smoking's bad for you. But, at least I don't do drugs. At least I'm not doing crack, right? People resolve their dissonance. They go through all sorts of mental gymnastics to try and resolve the dissonance that they have inside of their brain. Generally, the most strong dissonance happens with a behavior that's in conflict with something that you believe about yourself. So let's give an example in real life. Have you ever had someone who was asking you for money, right? And you believe that you are a kind and nice person, but you didn't give them any money. So the behavior is, no, you didn't give money. And the belief about yourself is, I'm a kind and generous person. Those conflict. They're dissonant with each other. They don't work. How do you resolve it? Oh, well, that guy probably was just going to buy drugs with it anyway. Or, I'm sure that somebody else is going to come by and help him out. Or, I would really be better to spend my money in a different way. That's how you resolve the dissonance. Now, I'm not saying that, well, anyway, let's go to the next one. What about cheating on a test? So here's your belief. I'm an honest person. Here's your behavior. I just cheated on this test. That's dissonant. That dissonant doesn't work. How do you resolve it? Well, one way you could resolve it is just confess. You say, I cheated and I'm sorry. That would work. But that would be a behavior, and people tend to like to change their attitudes instead. So like, oh boy, Yeah, so I'm an honest person. That's good. I cheated. Oh boy, how can I resolve this dissonance? Oh, I know. That test was impossible, right? Oh, Dr. Curtis is evil. He's out to get me, right? He deserves, and no one could have passed that anyway, right? So it's not like I'm dishonest. It's just you had to. No choice. No choice. I had to cheat on that test. You're resolving your dissonance, but boy, you're going through some mental gymnastics to do that, and you're going to get yourself anyway. Don't cheat. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's go ahead and stop there.